It is another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the one new release for the first weekend of June, June 2nd, 2006. But it's the biggest new release of the weekend, so let's not waste any more time. Let's just go ahead and jump on into it, and we'll start off with that, and not even start off, let's just get to that big new release, which is, of course, Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Aniston in the romantic comedy, I guess anti-romantic comedy, if you will, The Breakup. Yeah, so you can kind of see some of the problems right away with the movie, but we'll delve into those in just a second here. But let's talk about the history of this movie, which really, if you remember what I said about Mr. and Mrs. Smith a year before, you can kind of play that into how this movie came to be, because, of course, Mr. and Mrs. Smith is the movie where Brad Pitt fell in love with Angelina Jolie. Brad Pitt was married to Jennifer Aniston at the time. Of course, they split up just before the movie came out, and Jennifer Aniston decided to go ahead and date Vince Vaughn, and so they just, I guess they, if I remember correctly, Vince Vaughn was writing this movie, and he probably thought, hey, let's have Jennifer Aniston in this, and that's the movie where they ended up falling in love. However, unlike Brad and Angelina, who were together for 10 plus years after Mr. and Mrs. Smith came out, they broke up in November of 2006. Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Aniston did. So anything that would have helped this movie in the long run, like Mr. and Mrs. Smith did, kind of pretty much ended before the year even ended in general. And movie here pretty much explains itself. You have a story in Chicago where an art dealer, played by Jennifer Aniston, feels unappreciated and neglected by her immature boyfriend, played by Vince Vaughn, who is partnered with his two brothers in a tourism business and decides to break up with him to make her miss her. Gary understands her true intentions, and both follow the wrong advice of family members and friends, beginning a war of sexes with no winner. That's kind of the problem with the film right there. I mean, the trailers for this all over the movie have essentially them just bickering and getting mad at one another. And yeah, that's most of the time that does not sell the movie in general. And I'm not gonna say this movie is terrible. There are moments where I think the film does work, and I think Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Aniston do have some chemistry that does show from their real-life relationship. But with that said, though, I remember liking the movie back in the day, but watching it, getting ready for this, I have to admit, it really does not hold up well over time. And Peyton Reed is a usually reliable director. This is the guy that did Down with Love. Of course, he did Yes Man. He also did the Ant-Man movies, of course. But, yeah, this is one of his films where it just really kind of backfires big time and just doesn't really work, because the whole idea of it is just so poorly put together, and the whole idea that the only reason that Jennifer Aniston's character even breaks up with Vince Vaughn in this movie is because she's trying to teach him a lesson, and it's just like it makes no sense whatsoever. And the film is just such a clustered mess on so many levels. Like, it can't decide if it wants to be one of the frat pack movies, or it wants to be the Jennifer Aniston romantic comedy, or something like Along Came Polly, or like those movies that they were trying to sell her as this big draw. Rumor has it is another example, which I think that's a far better movie than this movie is. And yeah, this movie, I tried watching it again. I tried to give it the benefit of the doubt, and yeah, it really does not hold up well over time, and it's just because you can't keep getting invested in this couple, because all they're doing throughout the film is just bickering and arguing with each other one by one, and the argument, the ways they're bickering with one another don't even make a whole lot of sense in general. It just feels like they're just saying something because it's just like, the director said, okay, let's have you improvise some insults to one another. Let's see how that works. And if you don't have a good idea of how to do this, then you probably should not do this movie altogether. And, like, the insults that they have for one another really do feel like they were just insults that they were told to improvise, and they don't really mean it for the character in hand. And, yeah, it just really doesn't work in the long run. It's a shame, because there is a lot of really good talent in the cast in this movie. I'm looking at the list right here. You got, of course, Vaughn and Aniston, but Jon Favreau, Joey Lauren Adams, who I've always really liked in movies. Justin Long is in here. Jason Bateman, Vincent D'Onofrio, John Michael Higgins, Anne Margaret, Peter Billingsley, Keira O'Donnell. Like, there is a lot of really good talent involved in this movie. Judy Davis. But the film itself is just such a uncomfortable experience. Like, this is like, if it went the dark comedy route, like something like War of the World, not War of the Worlds, War of the Roses, like, there could be something really dark and really hilarious about it that could actually work towards the film's advantage. But unfortunately, that's not in this movie in general, and it just really, really suffers because it's a film that wants to be an anti-romantic comedy, but it doesn't want to insult the audience. It's like a movie like Mamma Mia, except Mamma Mia is a complete clusterfuck of a film. This is a film that just feels like we want to show you the rough side of a breakup, but we want to put a lighter side on the breakup and on getting divorced or splitting up with your ex in general, and you can't really do that with a movie like this. You either have to go all the way with it, or just don't do it at all, because if you try to do it the way that this movie does, you get a result like this. A cluttered mess of a film that has no idea what it wants to do. Like, what kind of direction does it want to go into? And it just, you can't really figure it out by the end of it. And you come out of it just going like, what the hell did I just watch? Because I really watched this movie and did not feel like I got anything out of it at all. It just feels like a waste of time, just a mess of a film, and just, it literally does feel like a film that was made to combat Brad Pitt and Angelina falling in love on Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Like, hey guys, this is our movie too. And while the film was a success, it made 3 times its budget. No, more people remember Mr. and Mrs. Smith than they do this movie. And watching it again, it kind of is not surprising to see why. The movie just doesn't work, unfortunately. It's not a bad movie, but you could just feel like there was some more potential that they could have had with it, but it doesn't go all the way with it. And because of that, I think it suffers big time. So, disappointment indeed with the breakup. And so with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies, and the next time we meet, we'll look at the movies of the second weekend of June, including Disney and Pixar's Cars, the first movie officially released under the new deal with Disney, keeping Pixar around. We also have the remake of The Omen, and we also have A Prairie Home Companion, based off the popular radio show, now made into a feature film directed by Robert Altman. So we'll take a look at those 3 films all on the next episode, and we'll do that tomorrow's show. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the place on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and notification button so you get updates on when new videos come out, because we post videos every day. So with all that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.